Race into the 95 of Folks. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away go for the first time. Nicholas Morcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now, as we've got three wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Nice to come out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 lead at the moment.
Dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Oklahoma International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the J2ICS Cup Series Endurance Series of the 2024 season, race number 1. We are here today at Road America, and as I try and determine why we are not seeing the race info for today's race, folks, my name is Mason Heimbaugh with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here tonight. 1080p, 60 frames a second. Excuse me. It is not 1080p anymore. It is 1440p this time around. So excuse me on my words there. But folks, it has been quite a long time since my voice has been on the Team Goon Squad channel. And I gotta say, it is very, very good to be back. Again, I'm not entirely certain why we are experiencing the issues here with not being able to display the correct information. We're going to try and quickly work on that here. But, folks, it is, as I mentioned, very, very good to be back here. And it is a great, great race to come back to for our very first broadcast, at least for myself, back up here in the booth with the J2ICS Cup Series for their endurance race here today. Race number 1, and with a few faces, a few names that I have not seen before. The first of which being Hayden Fowler, the number 128 machine, currently out there on track, as we are still looking to assert what is going on with our overlay here today, trying to determine what exactly is the issue with that there, but certainly making his name known as he currently sits 3rd position here in qualifying. Here in qualifying at the moment, looking fairly good out here today. Here at Road America, not a whole lot of issues as far as technical corners, turns, things of that nature. It's more or less just keeping things steady, keeping consistent, and not making any major mistakes that are going to cost you seconds, if not eventually laps, throughout the race here today. So Hayden Fowler sitting in that 3rd position here in qualifying, looking perfect as of right now. 3rd spot is always a great place to be. Prince Adam in that 777 machine is going to be the guy to beat at the moment, sitting in that 777. I've already mentioned that, but sitting up there in provisional pole at the moment, looking to secure that front row and hopefully have a good start to his race here today. Now the Endurance Series, not quite as well, I shouldn't say that. It is an endurance race as one would expect it to be. However, it is not the endurance race in the traditional sense that most drivers would think of it, in the sense of, 3-4 hour long races. This is just one long straight session to the end to see who can stay out there the longest, who can hold the most consistent laps, as well as take home the title. And as things start to get a little bit updated in the race, or in the timing and scoring side of things, we're still looking to determine what exactly is the issue here. So if you can just give us just a moment here, we're going to try and debug this issue and try and get back to you in just a moment. And there we go, folks, just like that, movie magic, and we are back. And like I was trying to get back to, or well, trying to allude to earlier, given that we didn't have the race info up earlier, our race sponsor for today, the series sponsor for the endurance series of the J2ICS is going to be Designer's Home Gallery. Folks, get ready to embark on a design journey like never before with Designer's Home Gallery, your premier destination for all things flooring. Just like our curated collections, this season promises to push boundaries, combining style with resilience. Join us as we champion design excellence and fuel the endurance of racing one lap at a time. Folks, again, this series sponsor is brought to you by Designer's Home Gallery. It is great to have them on board and supporting the racing community as well as the sim racing community at that. We love to see communities being supported by companies like Designer's Home Gallery and showing that, you know what, even if it is just sim racing, there can still be sponsors out there and there can still be support out there and love. So we love to see it. Designer's Home Gallery, check them out if you haven't already and see if they have something that you would be interested in for your home. Moving on forward though, let's get into the race action. Let's take a look at what things are looking like out there on the grid at the moment. So right now we're watching along with Prince Adam, the 777 machine, who we mentioned earlier was sitting at the top of provisional pole. Now sitting in 5th place with Joshua Spears, who currently sits in pit road, now making an exit out onto pit road with his teammate. I believe that is going to be Dickinson in that number 1 Porsche right behind him. These guys in unison, they're going out here ready to attack, and they've got a mission ready to go. And I think what they've got down there in the pits, I mean, they've definitely got a strategy, and they're looking to execute that here tonight. Joshua Spears and Dickinson, I mean, in unison, these guys are both just right on one another. We can ride on board here with Dickinson for just a moment, just to kind of give you guys a little bit of an idea of what that could look like a little bit here. And Road Atlanta, a very, very good track in my opinion for keeping things very, very quick, but also a little bit of technicality here and there to ensure that drivers are on their toes, just enough to keep things exciting. Drivers here just trying to make sure that they are keeping things copacetic. And as I also remember as well that in the Endurance Series, we have 2 different sets of, well, yeah, I guess that's the correct way to say it, that we have 2 different sets of cars going out at one time. Or maybe they eliminated that the last time around. I think they did. Never mind. I'm going to ignore that topic and continue on with the fact that Joshua Spears and Dickinson still leading the provisional pole at the moment. And what's even more fascinating is that Dickinson is separated by nearly 0.2 of a second from his teammate here in pole. Squilliam that number 6 Porsche, just a 10th behind Dickinson, could potentially find himself pushing his way up into the top 2 spots here. I mean, still sitting in third place, second row. I mean, starting in the second row is not going to be a horrible place to be going into the start of this race, as Squilliam's going to make his entry down into pit road. So that's going to bode some questions here as far as what drivers are going to be thinking here as far as long term. Granted, this is not this is not a technical track. This is going to be more of quite literally an endurance track. These drivers are going to more or less just going to be focusing on how consistent can I be throughout this race here today, more than how fast can I be throughout this race here today. There's a lot more places that you can, I don't even want to say that, there's a lot more chances for you to mess up and have a little bit of chance to kind of recoup that loss than if you were to be at, say, somewhere like Monza. That's probably not going to be much of the same story. Different tracks, you know, all have different stories, different kind of attributes, if you will. Not saying that if you mess up here at Road America that it won't have any negative effects on your race here tonight, but don't want to take any chances. So, with that being said, folks, we have just a few minutes left to go here tonight, and for those of you that don't know, that are not aware of what happened before I went a little MIA on the Team Goon Squad channel, I unfortunately lost my son in a house fire. Very tragic accident, something that no one ever expects to happen. Now, I don't want to go into further details, but that is the explanation that I want to give to you folks. And with that explanation, I want to take a little bit of time here to take a moment of silence. So for a brief minute here, I am going to mute myself on the broadcast, and you are just going to hear the noises of the cars going around and whatnot, as we take a moment of silence to remember my son, Noah, and to appreciate his memory. Folks, thank you for understanding. Thank you for being there in my time of need, for supporting me, for those of you that were there. And to anyone out there that may be suffering a loss of any kind, my heart goes out to you. And for tonight, folks, let us have a great night of racing, and appreciate those who we've lost. Thank you all, and for now, we'll take a moment of silence. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time. And with that, the green flag, excuse me, the checkered flag has been waved here for qualifying. Drivers will make their way down into pit road, and we will get ourselves ready to go for the green flag to drop here for the very first race of the J2Y Endurance Series right here at Road America. Brought to you by Team Goon Squad, as well as Designers Home Gallery. Big shout out, big thank you to our sponsor, Designers Home Gallery, for bringing you this season of the J2I Endurance Series, as I am sure it's going to be a lot of great action-packed racing and a lot of great adventures to be seen here this season. Folks, gear up, get ready to go as drivers finish up their final qualifying laps here today. Prince Adam, Eat My Dust, Dylan Meyer, the few remaining drivers left out here on track, left to make their ways down into pit road before we get things started here today. Prince Adam having a little bit of a spinnerooski here, probably not really paying too much attention here in the final lap of qualifying. That's the lovely thing about iRacing in of itself, is that you don't necessarily have to worry too much about the car itself. You can just you can race and just do your thing. You know, racing is racing is expensive, folks. And when you can do it for virtually, well, I say virtually, basically free, well, that takes a lot of the consideration out of what happens to your car. Now, let's move on. Who's having issues here? There we go. Let's move on to our starting grid for today's race. Up in the front row, we have Dickinson, followed by Joshua Spears. In the second row is Squilliam and Hayden Fowler. Third row is Prince Adam and Urko. Fourth row is Eat My Dust and Nick Later, followed in the fifth row by Miller Lite and DC. Miller Lite, man, gotta love it. Bob Nova and Spring Flower in the sixth row. Moving on down the grid here, oh boy. Oh, there we go. Moving on down the grid here in the seventh row, Bozak and Justin Wiley. Gavin Ammerman and Cat Daddy in our eighth row. Dylan Meyer, Joe Albanese in our ninth row. Ryan Schwab and AJ in our 10th row. Biker Pilot and Jaden Hop in our 11th row, followed by Bar South and Crew in our 12th row. And I believe we have Paperbag and Broccoli Motorsports in our 13th row here today. So that is our starting grid for the race here today. Let's see how drivers are going to fare in the start of today's race. Given how open things are here today, we do have a safety car as well, so it looks like we are going to expect a parade lap going around the first time. So again, gotta wonder what some of these drivers are going to be kind of anticipating, given this long straight heading into turn one, a relatively sharp right-hander, a little bit of straightaway after that, but you really got to position yourself to the outside of really going into turn two. to be able to set yourself up going into that next straight. So it's really going to be a fight coming down this straight across the checkered line for the start of the race heading into turn 1. And with Dickinson and Joshua Spears being up here in the front row, both of these guys being teammates, granted they're going to have a little bit of a fight between one another. Ultimately speaking, I mean, they've got it pretty much locked down. As long as they can keep their opponents behind them, not let anyone get in between them, realistically, anywhere in front of them, ideally, is the best way to put it. These guys can have it locked down, but it's a long race. There's a lot of things that can happen in between now and then, between now and the checkered flag, I should say. So let's not hold our breath here, but these guys seem to have themselves in a very, very good spot. Now we have Hayden Fowler, who I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, having some very, very good times, looking very consistent here in qualifying. Having Road America being the course of choice here for today, it seems like a lot of drivers are going to be very comfortable here. Not a very technical course, one that you can pretty easily pick up if you're an experienced driver or even a rookie driver. It's again not something that there's going to be a whole lot of technical turns or any strange odd lines that you have to pick up and follow. It's pretty straightforward, and it's going to lead to some pretty good racing in my opinion, especially here with the J2I series. The drivers here are all phenomenal. Each and every single one of them have an exceptional amount of talent, more than I could ever ask for. So that is a lot to say for the drivers here at J2Y. And these guys, I've seen them do a lot of great racing, put up a lot of great battles, and I'm excited to be back and to see what they have in store for us here at Road America for race number 1 of the Endurance Series. Now, if anyone is watching the broadcast and is having any troubles with audio, if they can't hear the cars too well, if anything sounds weird, looks weird, please do let me know. Again, this is my first broadcast in roughly about 6 or 7 months, so things are a little rusty. This is a new system that everything is being done from, so I'm still tweaking things, still getting things kind of dialed in. We are nearing the final few turns here at Road America before we go green flag here for the first time and get things ready to go. And folks, I gotta tell you, I'm fired up. I know it probably doesn't sound like it too much. It's probably not the same broadcasting voice that you folks are usually used to, but I assure you that I am going to try and bring the excitement as much as I can with the audio restraints that I currently have. But here we go. Safety car is in, green flag is up, and away we go for the very first time here at Road America. Green flag drops and across the checkered line. Dickinson, Joshua Spears go right behind one another. Squilliam, Hayden Fowler side by side. Squilliam takes the inside into turn 1, gets up ahead into 3rd place, back up behind them. Prince Adam, Eat My Dust, they had a little bit of a squabble. Eat My Dust and Urko now going to be side by side. Urko going to catch the latter end of that. Falls back into 7th place behind Eat My Dust in the number 24 Porsche. Side by side with Nicolator. Nicolator going to get a little bit of a jump here from the slipstream, moves up into that 7th place position. Dickinson, Joshua Spears maintaining their lead at the moment and continuing to build upon that gap. Hayden Follower, the 128 machine, trying to stay with him as best as he can. He's going to have Squilliam right on his tail, as well as Squilliam's teammate Prince Adam in the 777 machine. Very close groupings here early on as we get things kicked off. Things will eventually spread out here, but it is going to be very critical for drivers early on to get these positions, to attack these positions as quickly as they can. Hayden Follower definitely under fire here from the number 6 Porsche of Squilliam as he tries his best to find any possible way to squeeze in here around that 128 Corvette. Watching on board here with Squilliam staying right hot on the heat. Oh, wow. That curve definitely did not appreciate that. Gonna lose a little bit of time after that squabble with the curb, I would have to imagine. The car definitely did not like going over that curb too much here. Dickinson across the line setting the fastest lap here of the race so far with a 206.228, and that's, I honestly gotta say, that's kind of impressive for the first lap of the race. I mean, you're definitely pushing it on a very cold set of tires from the get-go, so very good work there from Dickinson, being very aggressive from the start. How that's going to play out here going later into the race, that's yet to be seen, but we're going to keep an eye on things as things progress. Here is some very, very good action happening towards the midfield. 10th place position, we have the number 9 Corvette, Miller Lite, trying to defend his spot as DC to the outside, the number 3 Porsche Backwoods Machine stays right on his tail here for a moment. Was there on his side, loses a little bit of time here. Justin Wiley, Bozak, just a little bit further back. They're currently duking it out for position here as well. Justin Wiley, the number 95 Corvette, in that bright neon yellow Corvette here in that 13th position. Has Bozak, the 906 Corvette, just behind him. Looking very good so far, staying right on the same line. Oh, there it is. That's the spot that Bozak is looking for. Wiley into the grass. Bozak able to take advantage of that. Moves on up into that 13th place spot. Now is going to have to stay in that position, try and maintain. Not get too greedy here, I suppose would be the best way to put it. Squilliam under fire from Hayden Follower, continuing on here in their battle for that 3rd place position. Hayden gonna move to the outside, heading into turn 1. Hayden gonna get the draft, able to move up ahead of Squilliam. Squilliam now gonna have to try and get a little bit of draft here heading into turn 2. It's not gonna be enough, and frankly, I had a feeling that wasn't gonna be the case. However, one can hope. And I'm sure for Squilliam's case, I can almost, without a doubt, guarantee that's what he was hoping for as well. But Hayden Fowler definitely making a very, very good presence here today for race number 1 of the Endurance Series. Spring Flower. Oh, I can't. This is okay. Spring Flower and Hayden Fowler. Okay, we're gonna make some. Whoa, Wiley getting a little wild here. As it looked like he was about to make contact there with Spring. And the number 93 just up ahead of him managed to just avoid it by the skin of his teeth. Not sure exactly what caused it, and I don't necessarily want to go back to look at it because I don't have a exact marker to go off of, but whoa, speaking of marker, Hayden Fowler off track into the wall, big contact. Gonna see if there's any damage to that driver's side. There's definitely damage, but what is all this debris? I don't know if that's iRacing just doing iRacing things. It's been a while, folks. Man, I can't imagine that Hayden didn't go through that, didn't hit that wall and not damage the suspension or the alignment of that driver's side. Both wheels, I mean, he smacked the wall clean. Perhaps that even helped him a little bit by doing so. I'm not entirely certain. But battles continue to happen around the track here. We're trying, I'm doing my best to keep up with them as best as I can here, folks. I apologize if there's a couple battles here and there that I'm not paying attention to. This is kind of a trial run, I suppose you could say, for myself to get back into the groove of things. But I gotta say, there's a lot of action to go off of, and looking here, Ryan Schwab in the 199 Corvette, he was right on the tail of Dylan Meyer there for a moment, having to fall back, but looking back up to the top 5, Hayden Fowler, Prince Adam to the inside, makes a move up into the 4th place position. It just frankly makes it look easy. Like I can't describe to you how not easy it actually is to make these moves, and with how consistent these laps are from these drivers, and we can actually kind of take a look at that here. So we can kind of go. Oh, that's not gonna work. Anyway, you can kind of see between Prince Adam and Hayden Fowler, I can't pronounce names today. You can see the difference in lap times between them, and lap 1 obviously being the lap where drivers are still getting the tires warmed up to where they need to be temperature-wise, so on and so forth. Lap 2, lap 3, lap 4, I mean, things just start to dwindle down from there. Hayden Fowler, lap 3, you can see he has a 2-second deficit going into lap 3. It's incredible just how small of a difference in a lap can make for a driver's pace overall, or just position, whatever the case might be. A very, very good battle happening for the 13th place position. But this pack of drivers between Gavin Ammerman, Joe Albanese, Jaden Hopp, and Dylan Meyer. Oh, Squilliam's out of the race. Squilliam in the chat saying, well, that's it for me. Seems to be some server issues, possibly for some people, but not sure. Wow. Well, you know, that's not surprising given iRacing, you know, just iRacing things. Squilliam, if you're listening, if you're watching the race, buddy, I'm sorry. I honestly, frankly, wish I could get to commentate for you more. But, hey, I mean, you could still watch the race, I suppose. I'm sorry, buddy. Your PC was dying, Bob and Nick both got booted. So that's why Nicolator's gone, and wow. So that's unfortunate, folks. Some unfortunate revelations. Some drivers being disconnected from the race session, and that's just the unfortunate, I guess, woes of sim racing, is that, you know, it's not a matter of your car kicking the bucket, or, you know, weather or anything like that. It's merely a fact of, can your internet or can the servers even handle it? That's just sad. But Joel Albanese here, aka Long Island Nerd, don't think I forgot. Joel Albanese here, going off track for just a moment. The 02 Porsche managing to find himself back onto the racing surface, sacrificing a little bit of time here. But speaking of time, we're about 12 and a half minutes into this race, and we're starting to see a little bit of the field get spread out here. And, well, I say spread out as we're starting to see Prince Adam attack Urko here for that third place position. There he goes to the inside, heading into turn one, makes the pass, move is made. Prince Adam is the man to beat now for the third place position. Urko trying to respond and not quite able to do so this time around. Eat my dust in that fifth place position, just behind Urko here at this moment. He is hot on the tail. As we ride along board here with the number 24 machine, you can get a great look as he tries to attack this position here, makes the move around Urko into fourth place, now trying to find his way around Prince Adam. And drivers are expected to make a pit stop here today. Let me check my notes here. So drivers will be anywhere between 26 to 28 laps, and we're obviously not anywhere near that at this point, but it's a very interesting thing to kind of think about here when we're this early into the race. When you start to think about how aggressive some of these drivers are attacking positions and just attacking this stint overall, how is it going to affect their tires overall going into the long term of this race? Granted, these drivers aren't going to be expected, they're not going to change their tires at all during any of their pit stops. They're purely going to get fuel. But my question is, these tires are generally expected to last for a very good amount of time. But how long can they handle being just continuously put to the limits as far as trying to gain position, trying to push the guy ahead of you, so on and so forth? How long can you do that to these tires before you start to see degradation, before you start to see pace loss, and where drivers are starting to have to come off of the pace a little bit to be able to save themselves from spinning out? Really just any sort of situation that puts them out of the race. That's really kind of what I'm curious about. How does that play into a race like this? What kind of factors come into mind for these drivers during a race like this, and how does that come into play? And another thing that I am also curious about going into these races in the future is, how will weather affect these races? Again, I have not done a broadcast since October of last year. I was in the hospital when iRacing released Rain, so all of this is new to me, so don't spoil it for me. Anyhow. Few close battles starting to develop here, and really some of these packs have continued to stay with one another for quite some time now. Especially here between Prince Adam, Eat My Dust, attacking into turn 1, Eat My Dust, gonna be to the outside, Prince Adam taking that inside line. I'm going to be at a slight disadvantage heading into 2, but not by much. So Wilhelmi Rhodes, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Wilhelmi, it is the Endurance Series, so these are, I believe these are GT3 cars, if I'm not mistaken. I can double check for you. No, these are GTE cars, excuse me. So we have in this series, we have the Porsche 911 RSR, the Ford GTE, the Corvette C8R GTE, the Ferrari 488, and the BMW M8. So Prince Adam here, he's starting to develop, oh boy, he's starting to develop a little bit of traffic behind him, and folks, okay, I don't think you folks can see that, but for some reason I can. Anyway, Prince Adam starting to develop a little bit of traffic as he has Eat My Dust once again putting the pressure along with DC. Also looking to get in on some of the action here. Let's see if we can go up above here and get, oh, that's a little bit of a better view of the action. You can see Prince Adam, Eat My Dust side by side at nearly wheel to wheel with one another as we get a little bit of a tree coverage there. DC and Urko trying to do everything they can to push their way up the grid here. Riding along board here with Prince Adam, just to give you, actually, let's give you one more look here. You can see in the bottom right hand corner the speedometer of Prince Adam, as well as what gear he's in, as we chase along here with Eat My Dust in that 24 Porsche. And just a little further back, we continue to see Miller Lite and Bozak have a little bit of a battle here for the 8th place position. Oh, going a little bit outside of track limits there for Miller Lite. Taking a look a little bit further back in the pack, biker pilot Gavin Ammerman side by side here. A little bit of action, giving each other plenty of room here, not really pressuring each other too much, just kind of having fun with it. But Gavin Ammerman, the number 58 Porsche, gonna fall behind into the straightaway. Trying to break up a little bit of air. Biker pilot heading into turn 1. Looks like he's going to take the inside line here, which frankly is the ideal line here. Still trying to keep the pressure off from Gavin Ammerman, and Gavin doing a really good job of not necessarily staying on the tail of Biker, but more or less just keep making his presence known, staying in the mirrors. And here, once you start to reach more than a half a second, that's when you got to start to worry a little bit as a driver, I would say. That's when the guy ahead of you can start to pull away and really start to create some distance between you and himself. But Gavin here doing a very good job of not letting Biker get too far away from him, trying to attack where he can. And I mean, you can see it there. He's right on the bumper of Biker in some of these turns. It's just a matter of keeping the momentum on the exit, on really, I guess the best way to put it is just Gavin is trying to find the power, trying to find the speed where Biker is not able to do so. And these guys are both driving the same exact car, so that might be a little bit of a tall order to ask, if you will. Wilhelmi in the chat asking, looks like more downforce than the GT3s. I couldn't exactly tell you that for certain. I would have to Google that, but from my experience with this series in the past, as well as the GT3s, I would almost say they're pretty similar in downforce. These cars might have a little bit more, but they sacrifice speed, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100% certain. I could be 100% wrong, so you'll have to correct me, but from what I've seen in the past, I do believe you are correct in some sense that these do have a little bit more downforce. I don't think these ones are as fast as the GT3 counterparts. Again, I could be wrong. Feel free to correct me because I'm not 100% certain. So as we reach the roughly half-hour mark into today's race, let's go ahead and run through the grid as it currently sits. So we have Dickinson all the way at the very tippy top of the pole at the moment, and with a very, very significant lead, roughly 6.5 seconds from his teammate Joshua Spears, who sits in that number 84 machine and is kind of just, these guys kind of just playing a Red Bull Formula One kind of game plan at the moment. I mean, they're both just kind of keeping things in check and keeping the ball rolling, securing points, and that's ultimately the name of the game. Eat My Dust, the number 24 machine, currently under a little bit of fire here as he's holding off Prince Adam and Urko for that third place position, but currently looks to be fairly consistent, fairly solid. We'll have to wait and see what happens once pit stops start to occur. Drivers need to come in for fuel, get topped off, and get themselves back onto the track. They should be okay for a little bit more longer, a good bit amount of time. They should be able to last a full hour before they need to come down into pit road. So we could expect drivers to come in the next few minutes. We could expect drivers to come in within the next half hour. So it's kind of a mixed bag. It all depends on what the driver strategies are. Prince Adam, as I just mentioned, currently on the tail of Eat My Dust. The 777 machine started in that 5th place position up into 4th place as it currently stands, looking to get up into that top 3. Urko in that number 33 started in 6th place, up in 5th place at the moment, also looking to trail his way into the top 3, if not a little bit further into that top 4 position. Bozak, a little bit more of an interesting topic here as he's moved up several positions from where he currently sits in that 6th place position. So the 906 Corvette definitely looking to continue pushing his way up the grid if at all possible. Justin Wiley as well in that same bracket, up 7 positions from where he started in 14th place position here today, currently sitting in 7th. So on a great track here today, looking to improve that. AJ, however, the man of the hour, I would have to say personally, as AJ, the man has moved himself up 12 positions from starting in 20th. 12 positions all the way up into 8th place. AJ, definitely a man on a mission, sitting in the top 10 at the moment. What that's going to look like here once pit stops start to occur, drivers come in to get fuel, that is to be determined. However, AJ currently sitting on a very good trajectory. DC, the number 3 Porsche driver, up 1 spot from where he started in 10th place, sitting in that 9th place position. Just behind him, Miller Lite, who unfortunately started in 9th place, only down 1, sitting in 10th place, just losing a little bit of pace here and there, trying to find that back here as he works to work his way further up in the top 10. Joe Albanese, the number 02 Porsche, sitting in 11th place at the moment, kind of finding himself in a little bit of a comfortable spot here between himself and other drivers. He's got Jaden Hopp just behind him, who's looking to track him down, try and gain some position there. But Joe Albanese, aka Long Island Nerd, looking fairly confident, fairly consistent here at this moment. Jaden Hopp, the 00 Ford machine. Mr. Jaden Hopp, I would have to say, is a driver who I have called races for a very, very long time now. And I always love to see Jaden out here on the track, and I love it. Warms my heart saying it now to still see Jaden out here on the track ripping it with J2I. Jaden, if you're watching this broadcast, or if Jaden's mom is watching this broadcast, thank you guys for doing what you do. You guys are awesome. The Hop family, I hope to see Jaden out there racing real cars one day. Moving on. Spring flowers. Jesus. Okay, Mr. Springflower and Hayden Fowler. We're having a talk. The three of us. Okay, we're talking. I'm only kidding. But Springflower here in the number 93 Porsche machine, currently sitting 13th, down one spot from where he started in 12th place. But I gotta say, you know, being down one position from where you started is better than being out of the race. And unfortunately for some of these drivers here, they've, from no fault of their own, they've been put out of the race because of technical issues, internet, whatever the case might be. It's just, it really bums me out that these drivers are not only paying to drive in a simulator that is a subscription-based service, but also to pay to drive in a series, in a private series. There's two payments there. There's one to be an iRacing member, and then there's another one to drive in the series. I'm pretty sure. I don't think J2I is free. That's none of my concern. It's none of my business. Anyway, point being, if you are paying money to drive on this service, it's unexcusable that there is issues where drivers are dropping connection, this, that, and the other. You know, I can understand if it's a driver's internet connection is just DSL type connection, that's one thing, that's on them. Most people have modern internet connections that are more than capable of holding a sustainable connection for iRacing. It's unacceptable. Fix your game. Anyway, moving on. Lindsay, thank you. Thank you for being here. I'm sorry, I couldn't remember your name off the top of my head. Like I said, it's been a hot minute since I've had to remember people's names. But Lindsay, Jaden's a very talented driver, along with a lot of other people here. But you know, I've seen a lot of drivers in my time in commentating and broadcasting, and I would say there are a very small few who I would say are just a very different breed. And I would say Jaden is one of those drivers. Urko and Justin Wiley getting things a little spicy here. So far, no drivers making any significant pit stops yet. We've had one, actually from Jaden Hobb, that's ironic. DC making the next pit stop here. Well, Lindsay, I didn't mean to bring to elicit that kind of emotion, but I'm glad to be back. Thank you for the kind compliments, and I truly hope to get to see more of Jaden out there. I hope to get to see more of everybody out here that's continued to race with the J2I series, that's continued to watch these broadcasts. You know, I wasn't sure what to expect when I came back into broadcasting. I wasn't sure how many people would still be around, and I'm very glad to see that it is still thriving and still going on very, very well. So thank you folks for sticking around. Even despite my absence, things will continue to improve and get better as on my end particularly, and we will continue to push forward and hopefully continue to improve these broadcasts and make them as entertaining as we possibly can. As we start to see more drivers coming down into pit road, I'm seeing names flashing all over my screen. We have Urko down in pit road, Miller Lite also coming down into pit road, get a little bit of juice in the box. We also got Broccoli Motorsports making his way, and I'm sure we're going to see more drivers making their way down into pit road here before too long as well. I don't think it will be very long. Now, one thing I want to point out here, folks, is the difference here for drivers' pace. If you look at Dickinson and Joshua Spears in the top left of your screens, you can see on the very right-hand side of the timing tower, the last time that drivers put coming across the line. There goes Dickinson with a 2. How consistent can you get? Hold on a second. Hold the phone. My guy. Okay. Dickinson, for example, lap 18 and 19, his difference in time was less than 1/10 of a second. That, in lap 16, I mean, oh, Jesus. Oh. It does not get any more consistent than that, folks. It really doesn't. Anyhow, Eat My Dust, Prince Adam, and Justin Wiley continuing they're a little bit of a battle that they have had here for their 4th place position for a little bit of time now, as we are sort of approaching a midway point between drivers where they're expecting excuse me to make some fuel stops. And well, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, it could be anywhere between the 30-minute mark as well as the hour mark. So it's literally a 30-minute gap where drivers could make their way down into pit road. So we could easily see every single one of these drivers up here in the top 5, or even realistically the top 10, all stay out until the very, very bitter end of their fuel tanks. That's not entirely out of the realm of possibility. So while we have a little bit of a lull in the action here, I would like to give another quick shout out to our series sponsor, Designers Home Gallery. Get ready to embark on a design journey like never before with Designers Home Gallery, your premier destination for all things flooring. Just like our curated collections, this season promises to push boundaries, combining style with resilience. Join us as we champion design excellence, and fuel the endurance of racing one lap at a time. Again, big shout out, big thank you to our series sponsor, Designers Home Gallery, as well as our race admins for J2Y. Big shout out, big thank you. This race would not be possible without them. They put a lot of work into the series. They put a lot of effort into organizing and making this all possible for all of you watching at home, as well as for myself up here in the booth, being able to have something to do here on a Wednesday night. And frankly, I couldn't think of anything better. So folks, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for watching and being a part of the action here tonight, here for race number 1 of the J2Y Endurance Series here at Road America. A lot of great action has been happening here tonight. A little bit of a lull in the action here at the moment as things kind of just settle out. Drivers just getting themselves in a, well, trying, I should say, for some drivers. If you're Justin Wiley, that's not quite the case, but for a lot of drivers, they are out there just settling in, getting laps ticked off. But for Justin Wiley, Prince Adam, and AJ, hot on the heels. Justin at the moment trying to gain some position as much as they can. Let's get a little bit of an onboard action here with Prince Adam in the 777 machine and just get an idea of what it looks like out there on the track at the moment. Real big moves here from Prince Adam as he makes the move around Justin Wiley up into the 4th place position. Justin now going to have to try and find the time, find the pace to try and get around the 777 machine. And that Corvette, you know, it's been a little while since I've done some racing here on the iRacing service, but the Porsche machines, I mean, they have got some real speed in the straightaways. So the Corvette's going to have to utilize a little bit of that balance that it has over the Porsche in the corners, what little corners that it has here at Road America, to try and get the edge on that Porsche. But it's gonna be a tough battle, to say the least. Prince Adam is definitely showing his prowess behind the wheel of that Porsche 911, and not gonna make it an easy challenge here for Justin Wiley. Meanwhile, the rest of the field has gotten to that point, as I mentioned, where they have spread out to the point that not a whole lot is going on. We have that one battle happening between Justin Wiley and Prince Adam, but that is really all that is to be said at the moment, as a lot of drivers get themselves through pit road to garner what fuel they can for the rest of the race. And really, it's in about, well, it's about 52 minutes. Wow, 42 minutes, I should say, until the end of the race here today. So, oh boy, little bit of a tap to the rear end to Prince Adam from Justin Wiley, it looked like. Justin Wiley doing the proper thing, not taking the position, and unfortunately, going to lose a position to Bozak in the process by getting into that little bit of a contact that he had there with Prince Adam. So Bozak going to move into that 5th place spot. And Justin Wiley, you know, I commend the sportsmanlike thing by not just taking the advantage there, taking the opportunity and taking the position. It does come at a cost. That's very unfortunate, because now he went from fighting Prince Adam to now fighting Bozak from another position down. That's a tough, very tough trade-off, to say the least. But here goes Prince Adam. Speaking of the devil, it is Prince Adam into pit road to get some fuel here about 10 minutes prior to the limit, quote unquote. But he will make his entry down into pit road, so that will put him in, well, what position that's going to put him in once he comes out of pit road, that is a good question. I'm not entirely certain. So we have Spring Flower also making their way down into pit road. This kind of leads some really good questions as far as how fuel strategy kind of works for these races. I mean, it's leaving a very wide, man, can we, so there's a way for us to look at fuel strategy for drivers with our timing and scoring, but I don't have it set up currently to do that. So I'm not going to try and do that now, but for the future, we're going to have that set up so we can kind of analyze what drivers' strategies are for their fuel, for their pit strategies, because this is a very interesting situation where, you know, we have drivers like Dickinson, Joshua Spears, frankly, the top 8. None of them have come down into pit road, but then you have drivers like Prince Adam, AJ, Jaden Hopp, Urko, Miller Lite, DC. They've all come. Actually, I can show this to you guys. There we go. So for drivers that don't have anything on the right side of their name, they haven't pitted yet. Every other driver has. So you're leaving a massive window for drivers to strategize with, and I think that's going to, with these cars, I'm not really sure. I'm not 100% certain how that's going to play out long term for some of these races. So I guess that's what we're here to find out. we're starting to get into the stage of the race where we're getting a little bit of lap traffic. You can kind of see that happening on the right hand side of your screen. I'm going to adjust that graphic in the future to be a little bit more adjusted properly. Again, this is the first broadcast that we're doing in 1440p, so things are a little skewed. Anyway, point being, on the right hand side you can see based on position where drivers currently are, and you can see that kind of spread. You can see currently second place driver Eat My Dust. He has behind him the 22nd place driver of Crew in the 737 machine just behind him. So like I mentioned, we're starting to see a little bit of that spread. We're seeing drivers who are down a lap or two, or maybe even just behind the pace a few seconds. That's starting to really show its face here. Oh boy, as we get a car off track, that's Spring Flower, the number 93 Porsche machine, sending it a little bit too hot there. But Dickinson, the man of the hour, making his way down into pit road with a very, very, very significant gap between himself and his teammate, wherever his teammate went. So Dickinson's down pit road, and his teammate Joshua Spears currently out on track at the moment. He came in pit road just the lap before, currently sitting in that 5th place position. So again, this is kind of where I suppose the strategy kind of comes into play. Now, the interesting thing about this sort of race strategy, I guess you could say, is that the field, again, with it being as spread out as it is, what do you plan for? What's kind of the ultimate game plan? And I guess that's sort of the questions that we're going to be asking here once the race is all said and done. But this is a very, very wide pit strategy window that drivers are given to kind of work with, and it's not an easy one to work with by any stretch of the imagination. So Dickinson has retaken the lead following Bozak and Justin Wiley's entrance into pit road. Joshua Spears, the teammate of Dickinson, retaking that 2nd place position. So, I mean, there's obviously a strategy to all of this, and Dickinson, Joshua Spears, they've got it down to a T. Man, that is, I'm sure it's probably very obvious as far as how this worked out in their eyes, but to myself, and I'm sure to a lot of you at home, it's interesting to say the least, given the circumstances of, well, given the options for the drivers in race strategy as far as fuel. But when you look at it from the perspective of the fact that Dickinson and Joshua Spears, they've had an incredibly dominant lead in this race and an incredibly dominant pace throughout this race. I suppose it's not all too out of the blue, I guess you could say. Tunlow, yes, that is, yeah. Having that much pace makes strategy almost brainless, I guess you could say. That's not the best way to put it, but it's the way that these guys are racing, that's kind of how it seems. And so here we have a real good battle developing between Prince Adam and AJ for the 7th place position. Let's actually go ahead and ride on board here with AJ. Tunlow, thank you. For those of you watching at home, how are you guys enjoying the 1440p? I know it's a small change, but hopefully it makes a slightly upgraded improvement for your viewing pleasure. Oh, wow. Big pass here for Prince Adam and AJ. AJ going up to the outside of turn 1. Trying to make that pass, Adam. Pass happen. Prince Adam sticking to the inside. Going to stay low here, heading through turn 2. Gonna get out to the front of AJ for the time being. Continuing to fight it out wheel to wheel as they head into 3. AJ's going to be to the inside. He's going to have the position. Prince Adam's not going to. And Prince Adam with the flashing lights. He is not too happy about that maneuver there, but you know what? That's a fair fight from what I saw. Tunlo, let me know how it looks. Let me know how things are looking. This is the first time that I have been doing this for the Team Goon Squad channel, so hopefully this will be something that will be continued for at least the broadcast that I do. This will not be something that is a Team Goon Squad wide kind of situation where everyone who does a broadcast for TGS is broadcasting in 1440p. This is just for the broadcast that I do, so don't get excited too much, but if you're watching a broadcast that I'm doing, expect it in crisp 1440p. It's gonna be nice. I hope you guys enjoy it. It's a lot of bandwidth, so please enjoy it. Well, Tunlo, and for everyone else watching the broadcast, thank you all for tuning in and watching tonight. It is, right now, a lot of steady, calm action out on the racetrack at the moment. Not a, ooh. When you start to get on the grass, though, that's when you start to get a little nervous. And AJ, I'm sure, is now especially starting to feel a little nervous, given that Prince Adam managed to gain quite a bit of time up to the rear end of him. But nonetheless, folks, thank you all for tuning in and enjoying the broadcast here tonight. It is a very good pleasure to be back here. It is not, I'll be honest, it is not to the fullest extent of which I wish to do a broadcast, given my current constraints, but folks, I do hope to be at a 100% level of broadcasting abilities here soon. You'll know what I mean, and hopefully sooner than later. Needless to say, AJ, Prince Adam continuing their fight down the straightaway as they come across the checkered line heading into turn 1. AJ having a roughly 0.2 of a second gap ahead of that 777 white and pink Porsche machine just behind him. This lingering menacingly in his rear view mirrors. AJ and Prince Adam continuing to duke it out here. AJ doing a phenomenal job of not letting the pressure, and like Tunlo mentioned in the chat, you know, it's very hard to shake someone because of the draft here at Road America, and you're absolutely correct. And as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, this isn't a very technical track. It's very straightforward, and with that, it's going to lead to a lot of drivers being able to utilize the draft of the driver ahead of them to catch up and so on and so forth, and that's going to lead to quite a few pressuring events where, you know, you're trying to figure out what can you do to break up the air behind you, to kind of pull some IndyCar style maneuvers where you're breaking up that draft, and really you're not going to have a whole lot of options to do that. It's a lot harder than one might think to be able to do something like that. And so with that being said, it's going to come down to purely a lot of just raw skill and being able to hit your marks, being able to stay consistent, being able to handle the pressure and not crack under someone being in your mirrors, being on your bumper, so on and so forth. So a couple late entries here into pit road, and I'm not entirely certain that they were even entries into pit road, rather drivers serving penalties coming into pit road, serving various penalties for exceeding track limits or whatever the case might be. But even with that being said, we're still seeing a lot of what I mentioned earlier, where this field is relatively spread out. Not a whole lot of drivers battling for position at the moment. We see Joe Albanese, Long Island Nerd, and DC. Joe Albanese, aka Long Island Nerd. Those aren't three people. Joe and DC both battling it out for the 13th place position at the moment. But beside this battle, there's not much else going on the track at the moment. So these drivers have a lot to work with, and they have roughly 17 minutes to work with before the checkered flag. And while that might not seem like a lot in the grand scheme of things, when you're behind the wheel of a race car and you've been behind the wheel for over an hour, those 17 minutes can feel like an eternity. So these guys got to stay patient, they got to stay consistent and keep their heads down. Now, while we have a little bit of a lull here in the action, we can go ahead and run through the field once again. Got to talk about the drivers that we have on the field. So Dickinson and Joshua Spears, I mean, both of these guys, they've started in their respective positions, first and second place, and they have not left. They have both held that position, and Joshua Spears, just to give you a point of reference, between himself and the third place position is 14 seconds. So if that doesn't give you any idea of what the pace is like for this duo, for this team, it is absolutely unmatched in this race here today at Road America. Incredible. Eat My Dust in the number 24 machine. He's up 4 positions from where he started in 7th place here today. So having a great start here at Road America, and with about 15 minutes left to go, he's looking to secure a top 3 position here for today's race. Going to be great points for himself and for his team. Bozak in the number 906 Corvette, also looking to score some decent points here in the top 5 position, unless he can somehow find time between himself and Eat My Dust. However, that is a tall order to ask, especially here at Road America, especially with 15 minutes left to go and no pit stops or cautions or anything like that in sight. Justin Wiley in the 5th place position, up 9 spots from where he started here tonight. In the number 95 Corvette, looking very, very great out here. Again, looking to score some good points in the top 5 positions here today. So Justin's going to have some good starting points going into next race, going into week number 2, and hopefully have a good starting chance going into that next race. AJ up 14 positions, the second most gained positions from a driver here today, in the number 45 Porsche machine, up into the 6th place position. So AJ having a phenomenal race for himself as well as for his team in the regards of points. Jaden Hopp, the number 15 00 Ford GT machine, out here in the 7th place position and the hard charger of the race here today, with 15 positions gained over the course of today's race. Less than 15 minutes left to go. No pit stops in sight, no flags in sight. No flags other than the checkered in sight for Jaden Hopp and the rest of this field. So Jaden having a phenomenal race and going to take home that small token reward of being the hard charger of the race, should nothing else happen throughout the next 13 minutes. Urko in the number 8 position, the number 33 driver, down 2 positions from where he started today, but managing to mitigate that and not see that happen, or not see that go any worse or any further than that 8th place position, maintaining that for the time being. Less than 13 minutes left to go now for the number 33 driver, hoping to maintain a 8th place position. Still sitting in the top 10. I think Urko should be relatively satisfied, although not happy, but not too upset, I would say. Moving on to Hayden Fowler, the number 128 Corvette. Man, down 5 positions from where he started here today. The number 128 really had a great chance here in today's race, and unfortunately, just due to an incident, not able to make that happen for today's race at Road America, and going to have to settle with a top 10 position. Moving on to Prince Adam, the 777 machine, also not having the best race today as far as position is concerned. Starting in 5th place, looking to end in 10th place here today. Prince Adam, had a lot of tough challenges here tonight, and looking to just round things out and try and finish out the best way that he can here today. I'm sorry about that, folks. My throat is not used to talking for as long as it used to be. Go figure. Anyway, folks, with about 10 minutes left to go, again, things are spread out, things are quiet, but we've had a lot of changes throughout this race here today, and we can take a look at some of those changes here. If you look on the left-hand side of your screens here, you can see the positions gained or lost from each individual driver. I kind of went over some of those a little bit here, and while I was away trying to recapture my voice, Joshua Spears actually has taken the lead for some reason or another, and I wish to know why. Oh, because Dickinson went off track. Let's take a quick gander at that if we possibly can. Oh, he definitely lost connection to his wheel. He definitely lost connection to his wheel. There's no way that was just a, oopsie daisy. You know, I may not have done this for a couple months, but I've done broadcasting long enough to see a wheel disconnect when I see one. So that's, oh man. Dunlow, Sean always playing with his competition. Yeah, maybe that's just one of those kind of like haha moments, like, oh, I took off my wheel, can you still beat me? I gave my competition a 15-second head start. So with roughly 5 minutes left to go here, folks, there's only 2 battles that are currently out on the track at the moment, one between Bozak and Eat My Dust, and the other between Bob Nova and Gavin Ammerman. Bozak doing a great job trying to attack to the outside. Heading into turn 1 here. Eat my dust. Gonna fall behind Bozak. Heading into turn 1. Oh, gets a little bit of the curb and the grass. Eat my dust now gonna fall behind a little bit over a half a second behind the 906 Corvette. And that's gonna cost him dearly. With lap times of about 2 minutes, you're only looking at about 2 laps to fix this. So I'm not saying the pressure's on, but pressure's on. To unload, that was the Cobra. Well, I can't say you're wrong. That's one of those moments where you feel your heart skip a beat, and you just have to let your brain and your body collect itself for a second before you keep racing. We got drivers looking to get around one another. I'm not sure. Trying to look at what car that is. Looks like he's gonna let him around, but definitely not some ideal lap traffic that you want to have to deal with. Going into, oh no. Well, and there goes Eat My Dust in his chance and fighting for a third place finish here at Road America. That is a tough break. What's even worse too is iRacing, or at least my timing software, didn't even pick up Eat My Dust going off track there, or having to brake lock there. So I have no way of going back and re-watching that unless I want to manually do it. But wait. We have the technology. So here it is. Wait, that wasn't it. Was it this one? Nope, wasn't that one. Ah, hell, I don't know. Well, Tunlo, and you make a good point with that too. that that particular corner is also downhill as well, and maybe it's just me personally, but when you're going into a downhill corner, it's really hard to kind of gauge where you need to brake, the exact point where you need to brake. It's just your depth perception is kind of thrown off a little bit, and maybe it's just because of whatever setup you might have, whatever monitors, or whether you're using VR. It may be just a case of that. I'm not entirely certain, or maybe that's just how it is in real life, where you're going into that turn, and it's even cases like hell, what's the track with the corkscrew? I can't think of the name of it now. I know it's in California, but I can't remember the name of it. I'm sure you guys can help me with it. Well, and while I was jibber-jabbering, we had the checkered flag come out. Laguna, thank you. While I was jibber-jabbering, we had the checkered flag come out, and frankly, folks, there was no battles happening on the track, and there was not a whole lot to miss, and everyone came across the line as they were expected to, and everyone had a very clean race here today. I gotta tell you, I mean, it is very consistent, to say the least, for the J2I folks to have just a very clean race. I mean, these guys, aside from the folks who had to call out the race early due to technical issues, I mean, overall, I would say it was a very fun, very clean race. So, very good job to everybody. And as we start to see most of the drivers come across the line here, we've only got a few that need to just make their way across the line for the last time here. And thank you again for you folks in the chat reminding me of what the track was. It's been a long time. 6 months. It doesn't seem like a long time, but I swear, I feel like I forgot so much in that short period of time. Anyway, folks, let's go ahead and get into our post-race results as well as into post-race interviews. This is something I haven't done in quite a hot minute. So bear with me as we get things going here. Let's go ahead and get with our first driver interview. Yes. So let's get with our first All right, folks, so let's get with our first driver of the night, which is going to be Bozak of the 906 machine. Bozak, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on a podium finish here today at Road America. A relatively, you know, it's the track itself is not difficult, but it is more or less, I would have to say, and feel free to correct me, but it's more just the pace that you really have to focus on and kind of be aware of, I guess is the best way to put it, because if you're not consistent with your pace, it's really going to affect you in the long term. And I think a lot of drivers kind of saw that here today, where, you know, if you're not clicking off those consistent lap times, it's not going to help you out throughout the long term. And Bozak, I mean, you faced a lot of challenges. You started off in 13th, you finished off in 3rd. I mean, kind of what was your game plan for tonight, and what do you think kind of led to your success here tonight?
Well, my mindset was really just to survive the race and do my best to just keep the car in one piece. Now, it's not a really hard track, but it's also not a really easy track because, like you said, it's really difficult to keep it consistent with this track because all the corners are all very, how do I say it? This track really requires you to really steer with the pedals more than you really think.
Yeah.
And frankly, I'm not a fan of this track personally.
Not many people are. Don't worry. You're not the only one.
It's best to really just get through it and just race the way I did, and it's where I'm at right now, which I'm glad it did.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, and coming from this race, taking away a podium finish, and then looking forward to race number 2 of the Endurance Series, heading to Silverstone. I mean, what kind of mindset does that put you into? I mean, Silverstone, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's been a while since I've been to that track, but from what I remember, it's fairly similar to Road America, Road Atlanta, where it's just kind of a lot of straightaways, not a whole lot of technical turns. What's kind of your game plan heading to Silverstone?
Probably the same way I did this race too, and just do my best to just survive in there. That track is a very hungry track. It will eat your front and left no matter what you do. And what we're gonna do is probably do our best to just save the tires and race our race.
Sounds good. So with that being said, I mean, what's kind of your game plan for this season? You'll have to forgive me because it's been a few months since I've done a broadcast. So kind of refresh me on your team's game plan for the season. What's kind of your end goal here?
Oh, that's hard to say because I don't want to sound overconfident, but I don't want to sound underconfident either.
Well, let's hear it, man. Let's hear it.
We're hoping for a top 3 at least in terms of teams, but if we get the team win, then that would be a win for us.
You know what? I think a top 3 is a great goal to have, and you know, I think here in this series, it's not an easy one to achieve either. So you know what? I'm looking forward to seeing what yourself and what your team has to put forward this season, and I hope to get to talk to you more this season throughout the races, and maybe get to talk to you again next race at Silverstone. But Bozak, before I let you go here and get to celebrating, is there anyone watching at home, anyone in the pit crew that you would like to give a shout out to or thank before you go tonight?
Yeah, there is a significant other that I do hope is watching this, and I'd like to say thanks, and I hope you're here. And I'd like to thank my teammate for helping me keep my cool throughout the whole race. It was tough. Like, I tried my best to keep my cool, but he helped me help me keep my cool.
Well, you know what? Being behind the wheel for an hour and a half, it's sure to test anyone's patience and willpower. So I commend you. You did a fantastic job here tonight. You made it look easy, and I hope to continue to see that performance throughout the season. And Bozak, great job tonight, and I hope to get to talk to you more this next week, or well, next race, next few races, whatever it might be. Great job. Keep it up.
Yeah, we'll do. We'll see what happens. And thanks for commentating for this race.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. You have a great rest of your night.
Thank you. You too.
Alrighty, folks. That is going to be Bozak, your number 3 driver, coming out of the booth here tonight. And up next, we have Mr. Sean Dickinson coming away with 2nd place. And, you know, Sean, I've done broadcasting for a while now. And granted, I haven't been back in the booth for a few months, but I've done broadcasting long enough to recognize a technical issue when I see one. Sean, I mean, what happened on that straightaway? Did your wheel disconnect? Did your monitor shut off? What happened?
iRacing completely froze.
Wow.
I think I lost it just before the start finish line. And I felt it going to the dirt, started to turn left a little bit. I don't know what I was doing, but I'm so lucky that I kept it like inches away from the tire wall at the end of the straight.
So it just managed to come back before you, like just after you hit the wall or something, or?
Yeah, right as I was on the brakes coming across the track, it came back, and I was able to save it.
Wow.
Yeah,
well,
that wasn't fun.
So, okay, even despite all of that, I mean, you and your teammate Joshua, you guys had phenomenal pace throughout the race, and you guys really were untouchable. I mean, if you hadn't had that technical issue, I mean, you guys, obviously the finishing order would be reversed just a little bit, but what was, kind of talk to me a little bit about your guys' game plan going into the race tonight. I mean, you guys clearly had a very clear and set kind of, I guess, direction for how you wanted this race to go, and just kind of talk to me a little bit about how that was executed and how it worked out for you guys.
Yeah, so we spent a bit of time trying to build that setup, and funny part is, me, Josh, Erico, Prince Adam, and DC were all running the same setup. I kind of shared it with a bunch of people, but it felt okay. The car really came into its own about half fuel, and we just kept clicking off faster and faster laps. The only real strategy we had was at the start, waiting until the last second, going as slow as possible, because we knew Nodovan had low wing. So our entire goal was kill his front straight, otherwise he would drive right past us. And then just kind of everything fell into place from there. There was a lot of internet connection issues behind us, and that just gave us a gap that nobody could really recover from. So that's why we got free tires. Josh had free lefts. I had free full tire change.
Well, you know, and the funny thing is too, between yourself and Josh, I mean, Bozak in third place. I mean, I'm sure you know what the gap is now, but like, were you expecting to see a plus 20-second gap between yourself and third place by the end of the race?
I was hoping so.
I love it.
I never expect it, and I haven't been racing in a while, and I think I just got lucky with the setup, because yeah, once it was mid fuel, I fell into a groove and just checked out.
Yeah,
so I was very happy that we could do that, but I didn't expect it to be to grow that fast. So
well, it certainly did. And you know, heading into Silverstone in 2 weeks, I mean, is it kind of more or less the same game plan? I mean, it's Silverstone, not really too much more of a different track as far as, I guess you could say, race strategy wise. I mean, is it more or less going to be the same kind of idea for you guys going into week 2?
Kind of, yeah. The setup's going to invert. It's a high downforce track instead of this one being a low downforce. We just got to keep our tires in check, and I'm actually significantly better at Silverstone than Road America, so it should be more fun of a race overall.
Wow.
So we just got to get the setup right, and that's what it's going to come down to.
More fun depending on where you are on the track, right?
Well, there's more runoffs. You're not directly in the dirt, and the setup tends to be drivable, whereas Road America, to be fast, you kind of got to let the car float and do its own thing.
Well, Dixon, I think both you and Josh, you guys have this one, this race and the next one in the bag, and you guys have a very solid plan. Kind of walk me through, what's your plan for the season? Do you guys plan to take home the trophy, or is it just take it as it comes?
Yeah, that's the goal. Try and 1-2 as many as we can. At least stay on the podium, have some fun. That's our main thing. We haven't been having fun a lot lately on iRacing, so we're just trying to make sure it's a good time. If we got to take tires and sacrifice positions, it is what it is. But we're not gonna give up on that just to win, you know. So just about having a good time.
Well, I love the attitude. I love the performance, and I hope to see more of it going forward in the rest of the season. Dickinson, before I let you go, I can just call you Sean. I don't even know why I'm saying your last. It's just I'm reading the live time. Anyway, Sean, before I let you go and celebrate with your teammates and fellow drivers, anyone you want to give a shout out to or thank you before you go?
Yeah, just my team, SimCity Racing. I know I'm running up front here, but that's just so that me and Josh, because we race together for fun. But yeah, the guys at SimCity have been patient with me. They let me stay on the team even though I haven't raced in like 6 months. So it's been,
Hey, you know what?
yeah.
I haven't been in the booth for like 6 months, and Team Goon Squad still keeps me around, so we got something in common.
Yeah, there we go. So, but thanks, man.
Absolutely.
Glad you guys did the broadcast.
Thank you very much, and thank you for being a part of the race tonight and putting on a great performance. I hope to get to see more of you, and hope to get to talk to you more again throughout the future season.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, you have a good night.
All right, have a good one.
Alrighty, folks, that was Sean Dickinson, the #1 Porsche machine, coming away with the second place position, and his teammate coming up in the booth with the win here tonight, Joshua Spears, coming away with probably an unexpected win. But Josh, I mean, you and your teammate, you guys both had a solid plan coming into the night. And Josh, the one question that I didn't get to ask your teammate that I want to ask you is fuel strategy. What was kind of your intentions coming into the night? I mean, we got to see a little bit of a different fuel strategy this season, at least from my knowledge from last one, where you guys had a roughly in time sake, you had roughly 30 minutes to work with as far as fuel is concerned. What was the consideration as far as why you guys chose to come in kind of towards the latter half of that 30 minutes, kind of towards the last 10 minutes, almost kind of towards the very, very last end of that?
Honestly, when we were just running it because it was full, sorry, my tech phone went off. Honestly, we just were going as long as we could until we couldn't do it. The tires were really managed really well. We still had like 80-85% on the front tires, even the rears. So we were just trying to manage the pace and just, hold on and just keep good times. I noticed we were starting to pick up the pace at the very end, so I was gonna wait until I couldn't go anymore. So that's when I came in. He just had an extra lap on me.
And with that in mind, I mean, you guys had such a incredible dominant pace over the rest of the field, and when Sean had that little bit of a hiccup coming across the straight, his iRacing decided to, well, not iRace anymore. What was kind of running through your head when you noticed that your teammate leading the race suddenly heading towards the barrier, heading into turn 1?
Well, he had told me his NVIDIA was like popping up and doing weird things. And so I was just like, well, as long as he finishes, it's okay. But when I was like, oh, now I have a chance. And then he told me his steering wheel was slightly off. And I was like, I think I can keep this for the rest of the race. So I was just like, all right, I'm going to try to put in my quick laps and just push as hard as I could then.
Was it simply just a matter of just kind of locking in mentally and just focusing in on hitting your marks, or was it just a matter of just switching a map setting on your engine and just chugging away at it?
No, I keep the same map. I just most of the time I will either clutch in or just release the throttle early. So, but once I realized that we had similar pace after he had crashed, I was like, well, now I'm just going to push as hard as I could. And, just if I crash, at least Sean will probably get his true first place back.
I love the idea of it. You guys both have a very, very good dynamic with each other. It looked very good out on track, and talking to both of you guys, you guys seem to have a very, very good sort of team dynamic going on that works well for both of you, and it obviously shows out on track. What's kind of your hopes and goals for the season? I know I talked with Sean a little bit about the team goals, but what's kind of your personal goals and what do you hope to achieve for this season?
This season, I just hope to be consistently in the top 5. Honestly, I'm that Road America is one of my stronger tracks. But as long as I can keep in the top 5s, I will definitely be happy. And keeping getting rid of my small little mistakes, like the beginning of this race, I had locked up like every time into turn 5.
Well, and it's little things like that I think every single driver they look at after a race, and they think to themselves, what can I do better? And just seeing from what you guys have done this race, I think that's something, those little kind of details I think is something that you guys will definitely work on and improve on, and I'm certainly looking forward to it. But Josh, before we round things off tonight, is there anyone at home, anyone in the pit crew that you want to give a shout out to or thank before you go tonight?
I just want to thank Sean. Obviously, Sean, he's really the head. He understands how making setups works, and just thank you for my job, for letting me come right after I get off of work, and I can come over and race instead of having to stop thinking about work and everything. I mean, being a mechanic's not the best.
I certainly understand that. It is definitely not the most appreciated jobs at times, but Joshua, it is certainly appreciated that you're here tonight and racing with us for the J2Y Endurance Series. Thank you for your time up here in the booth. Congratulations on your, probably unexpected win here tonight. But
I'll take it.
It's a win nonetheless. Josh, I hope to get to talk to you more throughout the season, and congratulations once again, and have a great rest of your night.
Thank you. You as well. Bye.
Bye. Alrighty, folks, that is going to do it for our race here tonight at Road America for the J2Y Endurance Series, race number 1, brought to you by Designers Home Gallery. My name is Mason Heimbaugh, bringing you the action here tonight with Team Goon Squad. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.
Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Folks. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Borcel, Sean.
It looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now, as we've got 3 wide action going through turns 1
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Nice to come out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 lead at the moment.
J2ICS up front. There's Andrew Kessel, just insane.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at